Don't move another inch, I said, my hand resting on a shotgun that leaned against the foyer wall. Outside, 2 men in crisp Navy uniforms stood on our porch, badges glinting under the porch light. They called themselves HOA enforcement officers, whatever that meant. But something about their stance, the way their eyes kept darting to our SUV, didn't sit right with me. It was a humid Saturday evening in Northern Virginia, the kind where the cicadas screamed louder than the thoughts in your head. My wife, Laura, had just set a pie on the counter when the doorbell rang. She wiped her hands on her apron and opened the door before I could even get up from the recliner. "Ma'am, we need you to step outside," one of the men said. His voice was clipped, commanding, too sharp for a neighborhood compliance check. "There's been a complaint. Something about unauthorized surveillance equipment on your property." Laura laughed softly. "Surveillance equipment? You mean the security cameras we installed after the break-in last month?" "No, ma'am," he replied. "You're under investigation for violating HOA regulations and state privacy laws. We'll need to take you in for questioning." That was when I knew something was off. No HOA has the authority to arrest anyone. And these guys weren't wearing body cams, just shiny fake badges that looked like they came from a costume store. I stepped forward. "Who exactly do you work for?" The taller one turned toward me with an expression that was supposed to be intimidating. "Sir, this doesn't concern you. Please stand back." Laura's brow furrowed. "It concerns him. This is our house." When the man reached for her arm, instinct took over. I grabbed the shotgun and racked it, the sharp click echoing through the entryway. The men froze. "Now," I said, my voice low and steady, "why don't we all take a breath and explain what's really going on here?" They exchanged a glance. For a moment, I saw hesitation, then something darker. They weren't backing off. One of them muttered into a small radio clipped to his belt. "Back up en route," he whispered. That's when Laura's face changed. Her eyes narrowed, her shoulders straightened, and for the first time in years, I saw a part of her I'd almost forgotten, a trace of the old Laura before she retired from her government work. She turned to me calmly. "John," she said, "put the gun down. They're not police, but they're trained." "How do you know that?" Her lips tightened. "Because I train people like them." I blinked. "Laura, trust me," she said, her voice low. "Go to the den and call the number on the red phone." That red phone was something I'd seen only twice before in our 23 years of marriage. It sat under a glass dome in her office, connected to God knows where. When she retired from her position at the agency, they told her to keep it just in case. As I hurried to the den, the situation outside escalated. I heard shuffling, raised voices. One of the men shouted something about detaining the suspect. The sound of Laura's voice, calm and unshaken, cut through it. "Careful," she said. "You have no jurisdiction here. And if you touch me again, you won't like who shows up next." I dialed the number. No ring, just a voice. "This is command. Identify." "This is John Porter. I'm calling for Laura Porter. We got 2 armed men impersonating officers on our property." "Copy that," the voice said. "Hold position. Do not engage. Assistance inbound." Ooh. The line went dead. By the time I got back to the foyer, Laura was standing with her arms crossed, the 2 men visibly agitated. The taller one was pacing now. "Ma'am, we're not here to hurt anyone. We just need to verify." A low rumble filled the air before he could finish. The sound of rotors slicing through the night. From beyond the trees, a black SUV screeched into view, headlights off. Moments later, 2 more men stepped out, this time wearing tactical gear, clearly not HOA anything. The impostors stiffened. "We need to go," one whispered. But it was too late. Within seconds, the SUV doors opened and 3 figures emerged, moving like shadows, efficient, silent, precise. One of them, a tall woman with dark hair tied back, spoke into a mic. "Visual on Porter residence. 2 suspects confirmed. Proceeding with extraction." I'll never forget the look on those fake officers' faces. The bravado melted away. The taller one dropped his badge and raised his hands. "We didn't mean, it was just—" "On your knees," the woman ordered. Laura gave me a small nod. I told you backup would come. Turns out, those men were part of a private group hired by someone in the HOA. Yes, the actual HOA board, who believed Laura was spying on them. Someone had discovered her old government background and thought she was still active, maybe investigating corruption. So they sent their own enforcers to intimidate her into compliance. But they didn't realize they were playing with the wrong person. Once the fakes were cuffed and hauled away, the agents debriefed us right there in our living room. I watched Laura, calm, composed, her hands folded neatly in her lap, while the lead agent, a man named Torres, went over what they'd found. These guys weren't small time, Torres said. They're ex-military, hired muscle, paid through a shell company linked to your HOA president, a man named Clifford Price. I nearly dropped my glass of water. Price, the smug retiree who'd been leaving notes about our unapproved paint color and improper mailbox dimensions? He'd gone this far? Why? I asked. Torres sighed. Money, mostly. Your wife's cameras caught some shady construction deals, kickbacks, zoning fraud, illegal sales of HOA-owned land. They want her gone before she talked. Laura looked at me with a faint smile. And they almost got what they wanted. Almost. That night, after everyone left, we sat on the porch. The summer air had cooled, the crickets humming softly again, as if nothing had happened. I turned to her. You could have told me. She exhaled slowly. You married me knowing I had secrets. Some of them were meant to stay buried. But when you called that number, you saved us both. I just did what any husband would. She smiled. No, John. Most people freeze. You acted. A week later, the story hit the local news. Fake HOA cops arrested in suburban sting operation. Price and his cronies were charged with multiple counts. Fraud, impersonation, conspiracy. Our neighborhood meetings got real quiet after that. Some neighbors avoided us. Others stopped by just to shake Laura's hand. They all wanted to know what really happened that night. But she'd just smile and say, let's just say it's handled. For months afterward, I'd catch her sitting by the window, phone in hand, staring into the dark like she was listening for something only she could hear. Old habits die hard. But there was peace too, peace earned, not given. Then one autumn morning, a small black envelope arrived in the mail. Inside was a simple card, no return address. It read, "The world's quieter because of you. Stay safe, Agent Porter." She tucked into her dresser and said nothing. That winter, we moved out of the HOA entirely. Bought a cabin by a lake in the Shenandoah foothills. No committees, no enforcement, no price. Just pine trees and the sound of wind over the water. Every now and then, when the phone rings and I hear that same calm voice asking for Mrs. Porter, I know it's not a telemarketer. I step out to the porch, give her privacy, and think about how fragile peace really is, and how easily it's guarded by people we underestimate. The whole ordeal taught me something. People love to pretend they hold power. Badges, titles, committees, rules. But real strength comes from knowing who you are and standing your ground, even when you're outnumbered. Laura always said the scariest people are the ones who smile when threatened. That night, she smiled, and it saved us. Sometimes I still hear the faint thrum of helicopter blades in the distance. And every time I do, I pour her a cup of tea and say, "Your friend's checking in again?" She just laughs. Maybe, or maybe they just like to make sure I'm still retired. Either way, I know this. If anyone ever tries to drag my wife out of our home again, they'll freeze long before they reach the porch. Because this time, I'll be the one calling her back up.